Dear all, are you ready for an exclusive masterclass that will guide buyers and investors through key market insights, smart negotiation tactics, and risk management strategies to secure the best deals in Cyprus? Let's not wait any longer. Please give a warm welcome to our moderator, Anastasia Yianni, CEO at Cyprus Sotheby International Realty, and our speakers, Ayiomamitis, CEO at Imperio Properties, and Englezos, CCO at Limassol Greens.
Thank you very much for introduction. And I'm very excited to speak about this topic. So it's masterclass, which means that it is an interactive discussion as well. It's something where there is a chance to listen, to give your opinion, and to discuss. And the topic is extremely interesting. Beyond the price tag, how to secure the best real estate deals. So, my name is Anastasia Yianni. I'm the CEO of Cyprus Sotheby International Realty, and I'm really excited to moderate this discussion. In our business, we deal with properties and with clients every day. And we know very well the process. First, the clients need to understand what they want. Our job is to find them the property that they want and negotiate and secure the best deal. And our esteemed speakers are the people who negotiate the best deal on behalf of their companies every day. And before we start, let's do a little exercise. By show of hand, if any of you is thinking to buy a property within the next 12 months, can you raise your hand? So, you see, just to prove the point that this topic is of relevance, and I hope that today we will bring some value to you. Because when we're talking about the value or investment value, it's definitely not only the price. It's about the strategy, it's about legal clarity, it's about due diligence, and about long-term growth. And during our expert discussion, we will try to give you practical insights and also some strategies to follow. But first, let's meet our speakers, and I will do a little bit more introduction. So, Nicholas is the CEO of Imperio Properties. He holds Bachelor of Science in Management Science from London School of Economics and is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales. Formerly a director of Deloitte Cyprus, he definitely brings unique abilities to the company. And of course, we have all seen amazing stand of Imperio with the launch of so many units. So I think that this discussion will be interesting to you as well, because I bet you will negotiate a lot of deals. Welcome, Nicholas. And Englezos is the Chief Commercial Officer at Limassol Greens. George has more than 20 years experience in real estate, and he is an expert in cross-border investment. When we deal with people from all over the world, he is expert in high-value deal structuring and lifestyle-focused development strategy in Cyprus. And Limassol Greens is an amazing project. It's something that will definitely shape Limassol and shape the real estate market in Cyprus in general. So I'm very happy that all the speakers are very qualified. So.
Thank you.
Guys, I think in your everyday activities in our line of business, you meet the clients every day who are on the verge of making very important decisions. They are thinking to buy either a house for a personal use or investment, and here the level of concern, not even concern, the level of worry, the level of responsibility to make mistake, to make a wrong decision is huge. So I'm sure that when you talk to the clients about value, you are covering many components. And let's start with the first question. So what factors, in your opinion, what factors beyond the price tag should investors prioritize when they evaluate properties in Cyprus? So, Nicholas, let's start with you.
Thank you, Anastasia, and thank you for having me here. Look, beyond the price tag, so the first thing someone should look at is the location. Location will determine a lot of things. So you need to understand, first of all, are there amenities, schools, the business centers, is it nearby, which will affect effectively the rentability and the growth potential of the property, because effectively, if we're talking about an investment, this is what you're looking at. So you need to see where this demand will come from. If we're talking even about a long-term tenant, they would look to have to be close to the amenities, like we said about the schools. So this is the first thing you need to look at. Now, if we're talking about off-plan or under construction properties, you need to make sure that you're dealing with a reputable developer. So at the end of the day, you need to ensure that you will get what you sign up for. And so it's very important to know the history and the experience of the developer. The quality of the product, of course, especially if you're buying for yourself, not as an investment, then you need to make sure that what you're buying is actually meeting the needs and requirements, not only your current requirements, but also your future requirements. Then bank financing. If you can get bank financing on the property, how much and at what pricing, at what interest rate, especially for investors, this will play a significant role to enhance the investment returns. Then I would say, who is going to manage the property after it is delivered is very important at the end of the day, because this is how effectively you will get the return on the investment. If it's not managed correctly, it can be the best property in the best location, but you might not be able to recover the investment or the return you expected. Also, tax is an important element. So optimizing tax, it's a bit of a complicated issue for many, and especially for people coming from abroad, but getting tax correct, getting it right is important. And lastly, from my side, I would say the energy performance of the property. Energy performance is becoming an even more important aspect. We can talk a bit more later about this, but you should aim for A category at least, or B max.
I think that what you mentioned as every point deserves special discussion, because every point is so important. But now my question is to George, because Limassol Green is a different type of product. It's unique. And here you have all the combinations of everything that we were discussing before, but also how do you define and deliver value in an integrated resort-style investment?
You know, during the recent years, the market has changed a lot. We've seen many changes, and the most important change that we have experienced, all of us, is passport, the naturalization with investment, and the change from this direction to another direction, which is the one that we are today. So today, it was citizenship by investment. First thing, it was the citizenship, and then the investment. And nowadays, there is no citizenship. It's just investment. We are selling properties that we have to face educated buyers in front of us. We need to convince them, and we need to offer them not just a building or a swimming pool or a sea view. These things are not enough anymore. So in Limassol Greens, we had to create a unique product that will offer all these lifestyle services, amenities, and generally the Mediterranean living for all those that are planning to live in. So it was a necessity just to create a product that covers all these things around the property. And we have managed this, spending 100 million euros in infrastructure. Okay, that was good spend. But being in a resort today, and after the COVID experience we had before, it's very, very important. So I agree with Nicolas, location is number one. But for us, it's not just location, it's also location, the quality of the location that defines a good property. So I believe this is the key for a successful development.
You know, it looks like it's a jigsaw puzzle, okay? So in order to have a perfect investment, you need to have all the pieces to fit perfectly. And I think one piece that now everyone is paying attention now as well, and my question would be to Nicholas, how do you approach the value of long-lasting value, long-lasting investment? Because I think what we notice now, we have more and more people who are coming with a mid-term to long-term vision. They're not, okay, we have investors who want to come and get out quickly, but in most cases, it's people who look a little bit further. So how do you as Imperio approach this long-lasting value?
I agree with George. He said about location and about the infrastructure. So you don't hope you go into a good or nice neighborhood. We want to create the neighborhood. So what we focus on is the development of vibrant, sustainable communities that our team, internal team, is managing, and with the facilities and the correct management and the security, you ensure that you will maintain the value and you will grow the value of the property. And we have the example of our recently completed project, Sunset Gardens, not very far from here, a residential development of 340 apartments, which has been awarded as very recently the best sustainable development in Cyprus, which offers a wealth of facilities, sports and recreational facilities. And it is managed by our own management team, in-house management team of Imperio. Going forward, we have one of the projects that we have launched in this expo is Silicon Park, a mixed-use residential and office and commercial development. And we feel that this symbiosis, if I may use this term, between the offices and the residential, along with the correct management and the BREEAM certification on sustainability, will ensure the long-term value for any investor investing in the project.
You know, I think so now. We already connected our pieces. So we know that it's location, we know that it's infrastructure, we know it's reputation of developer, we know that it's long-lasting value, but now we come to the point, you know, so we chose it. We want to go for it. What will be the structure and the strategy of negotiation? And let's first ask George, okay? In your eyes, from your perspective, what would be a well-structured deal?
Okay, a well-structured deal should include also a legal framework that needs to be the compliance for the residency, which is also very important for people to live on the island and with their families. We need to take care of the property management. Who will take care of this property during the next few years? So actually, this is a serious thing that needs to be considered. And also, another important factor is the added value of the property that is created with the amenities and the services and all these things that we can offer to buyers. So they have, they can onboard on the Mediterranean living.
You know, I think here it's also so important that in a way, now what I hear from both of you and what in a way we always try to implement in our philosophy, that even when it's a personal purchase, it's investment. It's still an investment in your future. It's investment that you want to understand if you need to. What are the benefits and how can I benefit in any case, in any scenario? So, Nicholas, with your financial background and your experience, you know that now George mentioned that it's not only the location, it's not only the price, it's also the legal part, it's due diligence. And you know, of course, we have excellent professionals, but buyers, they want to be careful. They are wary as well. So in your eyes, how can buyers perform good and meaningful due diligence and investment appraisal of their purchase?
Okay, starting with...
That's a difficult question, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like an exam.
Starting with investment appraisal. So the short answer, it depends. Yes, so who is the investor? What is the reason they're investing? What are they after? So is it a big fund allocating part of their portfolio into real estate? Are they divesting away from bonds or stocks into real estate? What are they seeking? Growth for the portfolio? Are they seeking income because they're long-term income generation tool for them? Are they looking for capital preservation? All this will play a role on what type of real estate and where you will invest. What kind of strategy are they willing to follow, like a more active or a passive strategy? Are they more aggressive? We have investors that are like effectively very aggressive, very high leverage, asset flipping strategies, or are they going for a more reasonable and moderate leverage levels?
Guys, by the way, now that the ones of you who are planning to buy, think, what type of investor am I? Am I aggressive? Am I passive? What points I need to implement when I'm going to meet these guys or somebody else to get the best deal?
Okay, stop giving them tips. So
of course, that's the point of the masterclass. It's not to show how clever we are. It's like to give practical tips. But guys, when they come and they start using it, don't blame us.
Okay, so generally we think and we feel that following a more, let's say, moderate strategy with a medium to long-term horizon of investment and a reasonable level of, let's say, 50-60% of leverage is the most profitable over the years, what we have seen from our experience in Cyprus. Now, to finish on the investment appraisal, if I would be looking now at my Excel with a discounted cash flow or IRR analysis, you would look, of course, at the price, but then you would look at what is the income I can generate from this, what is the rental, and then you would need to go a bit deeper, not just get the numbers from whatever source, but understand, can I rent it for this price? What is driving this price? What is driving this rental in this specific area? Not in Limassol, not in Cyprus, but in this specific area. Is there a business center? Is there growth? Is the economy growing? Is the population growing? So all these things you need to assess. Then what kind of property is it? Am I going for a long-term tenant you know better than me that, okay, if I'm going for a long-term rental, maybe just having electrical appliances would be sufficient. But if I'm going for short-term, then I have to have fully equipped. So this will be part of the capital expenditure you need to budget for when doing this investment. And then the horizon will determine when you will exit, at what price you will exit, who will manage the property will determine how much you should expect to be the cost of managing the property, and will it be your effort or someone else, and then how much will they charge, and all this. Now, regarding the actual due diligence before acquisition, again, are you going for an acquisition of an SPV, or are you going for an asset acquisition? If you're going for an SPV, you're buying through a company, then you will need to look deeply into the financial affairs of the company, look into financial statements, try to identify and disclose liabilities, guarantees, any tax penalties not reflected in the financial statements. For this, I would definitely advise that you seek professional assistance, because this can be very complicated points. If you're going for an asset sale, for sure you will need to check, does the asset have a title, or if it doesn't have a title because it's now being constructed, it has to be, you have to register the contract with the land registry. So you need to get a land registry search and try to identify are there any mortgages, any other encumbrances on the property, get statements from utilities, understand, okay, the land registry is also requesting that certain utilities are settled before, but there are other utilities such as the electricity authority, and we have seen cases where the electricity authority bills have not been settled before, and after the transfer, although they remain the obligation of the seller, you end up with the buyer settling them because they are the so-called ransom payments, because you cannot get connection to the electricity unless you pay the bills. So it's things like that. Just to conclude, if you're buying an existing property with an existing tenant, either get vacant possession, or if there's an existing tenant, you need to ensure that the contract is, you check the contract terms. There are no issues there. Maybe meet the tenant. If you're buying off-plan, make sure the project is licensed.
I think that's the next one, because, you know, I think that we all know that there are lots of conversations about Cyprus, about problems in the past, about the problems in the future. Let's, George, or, well, actually, any of you who want to answer, but I think, George, it's interesting. When you meet the clients, what common things they are concerned about? And we're talking about legal things, title deeds, completion. What are these things that they worry, and how you deal with that?
Okay, to start with, proper investment need to be structured from the beginning correctly. So, if you are going to buy a property and rent it out short term, you can form a company and start renting it out. You can claim back the VAT. So if you structure it well from the beginning, then you will be benefited for sure. The concerns that most of the customers they have, it's mostly the legal issues. Transparency is one of their concerns also. People that are coming, they think that they're coming to a country that is offering excellent vacation and holiday homes and sun-soaked experience, but this is not Cyprus. I mean, Cyprus at the back office is much more than this. So we need to educate them and tell them what they are buying, why they are buying it, and how they will get the maximum benefit. So going with a transparent plan and having on side, having trusted advisors for tax, for legal, and all these things that they can advise the customers, I think it's very, very important and can guide them through a comprehensive experience, and at the end of the day, they will get the advantage of this investment.
Thank you. I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, normally you think, okay, I want, the price is X, I want X minus Y, and I'm happy. But that's really, it's so much not like that. And I think that what you're saying is really important. I know there is lots of information, but everything that you say is extremely important in negotiation and structuring the deal. But now also the question that comes from what you told us now, George. Nicholas, have you seen difference in the approach of the investors now based on what the shifts in the legal framework, the shifts in economy and everything? Do you see the changes in the concerns, the changes in the behavior when the investors come to buy?
Well, changes.
Shifts, changes.
Look, there are a lot of things changing all the time, and we have seen changes in a lot of things. Investors, professional investors, they're always cautious, and they are always, and this is what we also advise, they seek professional advice in areas they don't really understand. We also try to educate them to the extent this is possible without taking a position for them, because it's important for them to understand, for example, the legal or most importantly, the tax issues, yes, and then take a decision about this. So, for example, there have been changes in VAT rules. There have been changes on both commercial and residential. So what we try to make sure that there are no misconceptions, let's say, about...
That's what we'll talk. We'll talk about misconceptions a little bit later, because it's a big chapter.
Yeah, so we're trying effectively to make sure that the investor understands the issues. From our side, I agree with George. Transparency and presenting all the information, educating the client, educating even their advisor sometimes about certain things, and then having an honest conversation. And I feel that investors, even if they're big investors, experienced investors, they always understand that whatever deal has to be a win-win. So, of course, everyone has a different background, different understanding, but so the negotiation, let's say, will have to end up in a win-win for everyone. And I think most investors, when they see this, they understand this, and when they see your approach as being honest and transparent, in most cases, I would say they respect that.
I think both of you, you represent very highly respectable companies that already prepared the structure. There is structure, there is due diligence, there is everything clear. So like, in a way, when the buyers deal with you, it's a little bit easier. But let's talk, and maybe we can use the help of the audience. Okay? Let's talk about the common misconceptions. Are there any common misconceptions that foreign investors bring into Cyprus real estate, and how do you educate them, or how do you correct them? Do you have any common things that you believe, or shall we ask the audience? What do they think? Okay, guys, if you were to come to discuss the deal, okay, and you read a lot about Cyprus, you read a lot about the real estate, you read a lot. What would be the point that you would want to discuss? That you read a lot and you want to find out a bit more. Now I'm not talking about misconception, because from our side it would be misconception, but maybe for you it will be the point to discuss. Anything?
is fairly easy. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions of buyers from abroad.
That's an excellent.
Early stage, as you launched product in this event, which is very early stage, and many investors will be like coming to us as Sotheby's and saying, oh my God, that's scary, I don't know, it's very early stage, what if, and so on. So that's one of the misconceptions that we see throughout, I think.
That's a very good one. So let's talk. Both of you are selling off-plan. And you know, guys, to sell off-plan is tough because you are selling the vision. And very often people are saying like, well, there is nothing, there is land. What will happen? How do you deal with, let's call it probably security?
Yes, I remember when we are selling off-plan Limassol Marina and we were showing in the sea that there will be a plot there and we will build a house there and you can park your yacht there. And people, they was just staring at us and what he's telling us about. And at the end of the day, whoever trusted us and bought there proved right, and actually they made very good money. This is one thing that you need that the buyer needs to realize, that buying off-plan is not easy. You need to make your homework, of course. You need to buy from a trusted developer with track history. You need to buy from a developer that already delivered big developments and projects, so actually you know that he will deliver yours also. The whole legal trip need to be guided, so the buyer knows at any point that you are proceeding with his property and you are delivering whatever you promised to him. So actually, those are things that you need to convince the buyer, and it's on you to convince them with your history and tools and whatever you are using. I have to admit that our life is it's easier than others because I work with a group of companies that we made huge projects and we have delivered them and the people are happy. So for us, it's kind of easy to convince somebody that we will deliver to him. But there are, I think this is the biggest concern that people, when buying, has. So actually, they will deliver, they will do whatever they promise, they will be on time and all this stuff.
Okay, so guys, off-plan is okay. Okay, anything else? Wow.
They know everything.
Cyprus real estate is amazing. Everything is clean, everything is clear. Guys allowed? Of course.
So even today, we were with Anastasia, was a speaker in another event, and we had actually a person saying to us from another country that Cyprus and title deed, you know, and it's so scary. So that's another thing that I think people address often, because in Cyprus our system is different. Title deed is not out immediately, as we would like, and yet it's a safe journey, although it's different from majority of countries. So that's another thing that I think we address all the time as a misconception.
Well,
Do you want to tackle that one?
I don't want to confuse people, but this is getting even trickier with the new regulations that came into play very recently, because the title issuing process has become harder. This is on the developer, of course. I hope all developers downstairs are have full knowledge of the changes, and but yes, it's a process that usually takes up to, let's say, 4 years after the completion of the property. It takes 1 to 2 years to get the final approval certificate, and then another 2 years to get the title deeds. Sometimes for more complex projects, it might take even longer. So this is normal to expect, but the buyer is protected. We have a very strong, on this aspect, very strong legal regime. We have the land registry, which is the same as they have in the UK, and you have the specific performance law, and it is protecting the buyers even if the project does not have a title, the property does not have a title. You can deposit the contract on at the land registry. You can get a waiver, and there are new rules about the waivers as well. So it's safe. It's tricky, and it takes time, and until you get the title, maybe you don't feel 100% safe, but this is the process we have, and we have this process for many years. There's a question? Or?
I think we have managed through the last years to secure all purchases that have been made in the island. So actually, as Nicolas said, the whole transparency and legal frame around the land registry, with the registration of the contracts, with the, only a few countries in the world can sell a property without a title, but you are still 100% secure with the registration of the contract. It's like having a title deed. So in all aspects, I believe buyers are more secure than ever with the issue of the title deeds.
Again, guys, I think you're lucky because both of you represent the companies that always issue title deeds. Okay, within the time frame of the government, but your companies have no issues. So, but it is very important for everyone to feel secure and to feel safe. And by the way, it's not questions time yet.
Thank you for an enlightening workshop. I think the biggest misconception in real estate in Cyprus is that anyone can sell real estate.
I love this.
When the law allows only licensed and registered real estate agents to sell property. So lawyers are not allowed to sell property. Accountants are not allowed to sell property. And consultants are not allowed to sell property. So coming back to the buyer's protection, I think people in Cyprus, especially foreigners, should be educated on who abides by the law. I do understand that foreigners need the security of their lawyer in terms of clarity of contract, due diligence, and financial terms of the contract, but that's where it ends. Because if a licensed real estate agent is trying to sell units of, for example, Imperio or Limassol Greens, and gives a wrong information on what the property is about, they risk losing their license. Therefore, buyers should go to licensed and registered estate agents for their own protection, not for the agent's benefit. That's just a statement.
That's a wonderful statement, and it is being a licensed real estate agent myself and working in a licensed company, I can understand this point and the level of frustration that we have when we meet the clients after they met someone who gave them some information which is completely wrong, without any responsibility, without anything. So it's definitely a misconception, and thank you for raising it. But now, because I still want to have questions, will we have questions? Okay, let's do questions, and then I will do it, because there is one more important question that I want to ask these guys. But let's do the questions first.
Okay, very simple question. I don't want to be negative. Back in 2006, I invested in off-plan, and they just disappeared. So obviously it's been 20 years ago. What is the actual practical process if somebody invested off-plan with a licensed developer, and then for whatever reason project doesn't happen? Can they get their money back, or they have to take to court the developer, which we all know is not going to happen?
There is a process, but the most important, we will not go through it, but I will be happy to discuss with you later. But guys, the one thing that is imperative, was your contract of sale registered in the land registry? This is the key. This is because the law gives full protection for the buyers, but only when the procedure follows as well. Because if the contract of sale is not registered in the land registry, then of course there are contractual obligations, but you cannot start the specific performance mechanism of protection.
I'm sure the lawyer have done everything, or has done everything legally right, but still when we came to what action can we take to get our money, the only action was to take developer to court. Yeah, so it's basically, in a nutshell, that's the thing, right? That's the only thing to do. If everything was done right, but still something went wrong.
That's why we asked from the beginning, as Nicolas saying, you need to buy from a reputable developer that has proved his, that has a record in doing this job, delivering properties and all this stuff.
I'm very sorry that you had to face this experience in Cyprus, and unfortunately there were some cases like that. Since that time, the level of protection of the buyers increased a lot, and it is going on. So of course it will not change, even though I would like to have a conversation with you. But currently, the level of protection is stronger and stronger. But this is also the point of our masterclass. Just to say that it's not only the prices, it's not only the best deal possible, there are so many layers to structure the best deal. When we are talking about protection, when we are talking about due diligence, when we are talking, in a way, something that I always use during our training, but I'm sure that that's what the guys will confirm. The biggest proof of good deal, you know what is it? It's if you meet your client in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, and they're happy to see you. And they're telling, wow, that was excellent decision, I'm so happy. So that is the final one. But may I ask just one more question to the guys? And I didn't even put it in my questions, but I want to ask it. So guys, is there any trick of the trade that you can say that when our audience come to see you, how can they secure the best deal possible with you?
The best deal possible.
Give us an offer for now.
No, before we go through all the educational process, before identifying all the values beyond the price tag, no offers, but is there anything?
Know what you want.
Bravo.
Because this is the best deal, is subjective, is what you need. So what you need to know what you need, and then we will find the best property for you if it's something that we have. This is it for me.
I think that's perfect. George, do you want to add anything?
For me, the best offering is the whole package. So actually, you shouldn't be discussing for the property as it is, but for the whole package, as we mentioned earlier, both of us, location, facilities, amenities, all this stuff. This is the best deal that you can get. I mean, having all this together with your property.
Thank you. I think that summary was amazing. But guys, to close our part, and I don't know if we will be allowed any questions, remember that securing the best deal is multi-layered. Don't be afraid, don't be embarrassed to ask questions. Don't be embarrassed to go above and beyond with your research. So know your request, know your developer, know your product, know your contract, know your rights, and you will be able to enjoy best deal and your best investment in Cyprus.